I'm Cardiff Garcia of FT Alphaville. I'm joined by the FT's U.S. National Editor, Gary Silverman. Last night, tensions escalated in the town of Ferguson, Missouri, when a standoff between protesters and police officers turned violent. The situation has refocused attention on race relations in the U.S. and on the militarization of local police forces. Gary, let's start with the former, because this was a topic of your column this morning. You write that when Barack Obama was elected president 6 years ago, that there was a lot of hope that race relations in the country would improve. They haven't, have they?
No, I think it was a marker of progress. The election of Obama was a momentous achievement. I mean, this is a majority white country. Electing a black president really showed how far we have come, but it also doesn't cover up the fact that we haven't come far in other areas. And what we see in places like Ferguson is that there still are pockets of black population, black people living pretty much in segregated circumstances, apart from white communities, who face real problems, among them being their perception of unequal treatment by the police forces.
Sure.
I think another factor in this to look at too is we are coming to the waning days of Obama. You know, he's been there more than 5 years. We're coming closer to saying goodbye to our first black president. And I think that too is a psychological factor that should be thought of in this context, that black people have seen a black man get into the White House, momentous occasion, but the lives of many black people, as well as many poor people and many people who have not done well in this era or ever, could look at that and feel a certain amount of hopelessness.
Sure, and if you look at the situation in Ferguson, you have a majority black population, but a vast majority white police force. And I want to turn to the second issue now, the militarization of local police forces in the country. Let's talk about some of the images we saw in Ferguson on Wednesday night. So we had officers in what resembled military fatigues, in camouflage basically, in suburban St. Louis. You had these big armored vehicles. You had the police aiming weapons at a still peaceful crowd of protesters during the day. Later on, the use of tear gas, rubber bullets, sonic weapons. The arrest of these two journalists, one from the Huffington Post, one from the Washington Post, was very forcible. I mean, one was thrown against a soda machine, the other had his head slammed up against a glass door. And it makes you wonder, well, if they're treating the journalists that way, how are they treating people that don't have a microphone? And I guess I wonder, do you think that this has just gone way too far?
Well, I think any situation like this involves a certain amount of error in police tactics, in police strategy, and I think we've seen some bad police work here, some very, very bad police work here. I would caution, though, that the violence in Ferguson begins without the application of this military-type police. The violence in Ferguson begins with a single